What if I told you the emptiness you've been trying so hard to escape is not a sign that something is missing from your life, but a sign that you've been separated from yourself? Think about it. You have survived so much. You have worked hard. You have achieved goals you once prayed for. You smile. You laugh. You keep moving forward. From the outside, your life may look completely normal, maybe even successful. But when the day finally ends, when the world becomes quiet, when there is no one left to impress, a strange feeling slowly rises inside you. A feeling that is difficult to explain. It feels like something is missing, even though you cannot name what it is. So you tell yourself, maybe I need a better job. Maybe I need more money. Maybe I need the right relationship. Maybe I just need a fresh start. But no matter how much your life changes, that quiet emptiness somehow follows you. Why? Why can a person have everything they once dreamed about and still feel as though something inside them is incomplete? More than 2,500 years ago, the Buddha gave an answer that is just as powerful today as it was then. He taught that the deepest emptiness is not created by what your life lacks. It is created when your mind becomes so busy chasing the next moment that it forgets to truly live the one you are already in. In this video, you are about to discover 8 timeless lessons that have helped millions of people understand the hidden reason behind this silent emptiness. And if you stay until the final lesson, you may realize that the peace you have been searching for has never been somewhere out in the world. It has been quietly waiting, patiently, within you. You didn't lose joy, you lost your connection to the present. One of the biggest misunderstandings about happiness is believing that it suddenly disappears. Most people think they woke up one morning and somehow lost their joy. But Buddhist wisdom offers a much gentler truth. Joy rarely leaves all at once. It slowly becomes covered by worry, covered by endless thinking, covered by rushing from one moment to the next without ever truly arriving in any of them. Imagine standing beside a beautiful lake early in the morning. The water is perfectly still. You can see the sky reflected on its surface, the trees, the clouds, the rising sun. Everything is clear. Now imagine throwing one small stone into the water. Ripples begin to spread. Then another stone. Then another. Soon, the entire surface is moving. The reflection has not disappeared. It has simply become impossible to see. Your mind works in the same way. Deep inside you, peace is still there. Joy is still there. The ability to feel deeply alive has never truly left you. But your thoughts have created so many ripples that you can no longer see what has always existed beneath them. This is why so many people keep asking themselves, what happened to me? I used to feel excited. I used to enjoy little things. I used to wake up with hope. But perhaps nothing happened to the real you. Perhaps you simply became too busy surviving to notice yourself anymore. Think about your average day. Before your eyes are fully open, your mind has already started working. You remember yesterday's problems. You think about today's responsibilities. You worry about tomorrow's uncertainty. Without realizing it, you have already left the present before the day has even begun. Then the rest of the day continues in exactly the same way. You eat your breakfast, but your attention is somewhere else. You walk outside, but you never notice the cool air touching your face. Someone smiles at you, but your mind is replaying an old conversation that happened weeks ago. The sun rises, the birds sing, the wind gently moves through the trees. Life quietly continues, offering you thousands of beautiful moments, but your attention never arrives to receive them. Buddhist wisdom teaches that life is not only made of big achievements. Life is built from ordinary moments: a peaceful morning, a warm cup of tea, a deep breath, the sound of rain, the laughter of a child, the feeling of sunlight resting gently on your skin. These moments seem small, yet together they create an extraordinary life. The problem is not that these moments disappear. The problem is that the restless mind stops noticing them. Modern life trains us to believe that happiness always exists somewhere ahead, after the promotion, after the relationship, after the house, after the money, after the next success. The mind becomes addicted to the word after. It keeps whispering, "Not yet. You'll be happy later. Keep going." There is still something missing. And because of this, you spend your entire life chasing tomorrow. Meanwhile, today quietly slips away. The Buddha observed this thousands of years ago. He understood that the human mind has a habit of living in places where life does not exist. It returns to the past. It runs toward the future. But life itself only exists here, only now, only in this breath, only in this moment. Have you ever noticed how children experience the world? A butterfly can completely capture their attention. They can spend 10 minutes watching a tiny insect walk across the ground. They laugh easily. They become fascinated by things adults no longer even notice. It is not because children own more than adults. It is because they are completely present. For a few beautiful years, their minds have not yet learned to constantly escape the present moment. As adults, we often lose this gift. Not because we become wiser, but because we become distracted. Our bodies remain in one place. Our minds live somewhere else. And slowly, the distance between the two becomes our suffering. Many people believe they are searching for happiness. In reality, they are searching for presence. Because every moment you have ever described as peaceful contained one thing in common: you were fully there. Think about the happiest memories of your life. Perhaps it was watching the ocean, walking through nature, sitting quietly with someone you love, looking at the stars, listening to rain late at night. For those moments, your mind stopped racing. It stopped comparing. It stopped chasing. It simply rested. And in that rest, joy appeared naturally. This is one of the deepest teachings in Buddhist wisdom. Joy is not something you force. It is something you uncover. It has always been waiting beneath the noise. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with heavy stones every single day. At first, you hardly notice the weight. Your body slowly adapts. Eventually, the burden feels normal. Then one day, you finally place the backpack on the ground. Suddenly, you feel incredibly light. Did someone give you new strength? No. You simply stopped carrying unnecessary weight. The same thing happens inside the mind. Most people carry worries that have never happened, arguments that ended years ago, mistakes they cannot change, opinions of people they will never meet again, endless comparisons, endless expectations, endless pressure. They carry all of this every single day. Then they wonder why life feels exhausting. The heart was never designed to carry the entire world. It was designed to experience it. That is a very different way of living. Presence does not mean your problems disappear. It means your problems no longer steal every beautiful moment from your life. You can still have responsibilities. You can still have goals. You can still work hard, but you no longer sacrifice today while waiting for tomorrow. This changes everything, because tomorrow is never guaranteed, yet millions of people postpone their happiness until a future that may never arrive. I'll rest later. I'll enjoy life after this project. I'll slow down next year. I'll finally be happy once everything is perfect. But life quietly whispers, there will always be another project. There will always be another goal. There will always be another problem. If peace depends on a perfect future, peace will always remain out of reach. The Buddha once taught that every breath is a new beginning, not because breathing itself solves your problems, but because each breath reminds you where life truly exists. Right here, not yesterday, not next month, here. Many people spend years searching for themselves, traveling across countries, changing careers, changing relationships, changing cities, changing everything around them. Sometimes these changes are necessary, but sometimes the person they are searching for has never been lost. Their attention has. The greatest distance in life is not the distance between two places. It is the distance between your mind and the present moment. Close that distance, and something remarkable begins to happen. Food tastes richer. Conversations become deeper. Nature becomes more beautiful. Silence becomes comforting instead of frightening. You begin noticing simple things that have always been there. The breeze moving through the trees, the rhythm of your own breathing, the warmth of sunlight on your hands, the smile of a stranger, the quiet peace hidden inside an ordinary afternoon. Nothing outside has changed, yet everything feels different, because awareness has returned. This is why Buddhist wisdom says that awakening is not about becoming someone new. It is about seeing clearly again, seeing the life that has been unfolding in front of you all along. So if your heart has been feeling empty lately, do not immediately assume that you need a different life. Pause for a moment. Ask yourself a quieter question. When was the last time I truly experienced the life I already have? Not rushed through it, not worried through it, not distracted through it, but truly lived it. You may discover that joy was never hiding from you. It was patiently waiting for your attention to come home, and perhaps that journey back to the present is the beginning of finding everything you thought you had lost. The life you built is not the life your soul is seeking. Have you ever reached a goal that once meant everything to you, only to discover that the feeling you were waiting for never truly arrived? For months, maybe even years, you imagined that one achievement would finally change everything. You told yourself, when I earn more money, I'll finally relax. When I find the right relationship, I'll finally feel complete. When I buy that house, start that business, lose that weight, or reach that milestone, then I'll finally be happy. The dream kept you moving. It gave you hope. It gave you something to chase. And then one day, you arrived. For a few hours, or maybe a few days, you felt excited. You smiled. You celebrated. You believed this was the beginning of a new life. But then, something unexpected happened. The excitement slowly faded. The achievement became normal. Your mind became quiet for only a little while, before it started searching again. Almost without noticing, another goal appeared. Another mountain to climb. Another destination that promised happiness. And once again, you found yourself saying, maybe after that. This is one of the quietest traps the human mind can fall into. It is not a trap because goals are wrong. Goals can inspire us. They can help us grow. They can give direction to our lives. The trap begins when we quietly believe, "My happiness is waiting on the other side of this achievement." That belief seems harmless, but over time, it steals your ability to experience the life you already have. Buddhist wisdom teaches something that feels almost impossible for the modern mind to accept. It says that achievement and fulfillment are not the same thing. You can achieve everything and still feel empty. Because achievement satisfies the mind, fulfillment nourishes the heart. The mind is never satisfied for very long. It always wants more. More success, more recognition, more certainty, more comfort, more proof that you are enough. It keeps moving the finish line. The moment you arrive, it quietly places another destination somewhere farther away. Have you noticed this in your own life? Think back to something you desperately wanted 5 years ago. Maybe it was a better job, a different home, financial security, more freedom, a healthier body. Now look at your life today. Perhaps some of those dreams have already come true. Yet how often do you wake up feeling grateful for them? For many people, the answer is almost never. Not because they are ungrateful, but because the mind quickly turns blessings into expectations. Yesterday's miracle becomes today's routine. The thing you once prayed for becomes something you barely notice anymore. This is how the mind quietly steals joy, not by taking away your blessings, but by convincing you they are no longer enough. The Buddha observed that desire has a very clever way of disguising itself. It whispers softly, "If you just had one more thing, if you could just become a little more successful, if people admired you a little more, if your life looked a little more perfect, then your heart would finally rest." But the promise is never fulfilled, because desire survives by creating another desire. It never says, "You have enough." It never says, "Rest." It never says, "Look at the beauty already surrounding you." Instead, it keeps your eyes fixed on the horizon, always searching, always comparing, always becoming, never arriving. Imagine standing in a beautiful garden filled with thousands of flowers. The air is fresh. The colors are breathtaking. Birds are singing. The sun is warm. But instead of looking around, you keep staring at a single unopened gate at the end of the garden. You convince yourself that everything beautiful must exist beyond that gate. So you never stop to notice where you already are. Many people live exactly like this. Life keeps giving them reasons to smile, but they are too busy chasing the next chapter to appreciate the one they are already living. This constant chasing slowly creates a strange kind of emptiness, not because life lacks beauty, but because the mind refuses to stay with it. The modern world encourages this way of living every single day. Every advertisement tells you that happiness can be bought. Every comparison tells you that someone else is living better than you. Every success story makes you wonder if you are falling behind. Slowly, without realizing it, you begin measuring your worth by your progress. You stop asking, "Am I peaceful?" and start asking, "Am I ahead?" You stop asking, "Am I living with purpose?" and start asking, "Am I more successful than everyone else?" This is an exhausting way to live, because there will always be someone richer, someone younger, someone more attractive, someone more accomplished. If your peace depends on being ahead of everyone else, peace will always remain impossible. Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us that comparison is one of the fastest ways to disconnect from ourselves. The moment you compare your life to someone else's, you stop living your own. Your attention leaves your own journey, your own blessings, your own growth, your own quiet victories. Instead, you begin chasing a life that was never meant to be yours. Every human being walks a different path. Every heart carries different lessons. Every life unfolds at a different pace. The flower does not compete with the tree. The river does not compare itself to the mountain. The moon never tries to become the sun. Nature lives in harmony because everything accepts its own path. Only the human mind constantly asks, "Why am I not there yet?" Another hidden reason achievement cannot satisfy the soul is because the soul longs for something that success cannot provide. The soul longs for meaning, for presence, for love that cannot be measured, for kindness that expects nothing in return, for moments of deep connection, for quiet mornings, for honest conversations, for laughter that comes from the heart, for the feeling of sitting beneath the sky with nothing to prove. These moments rarely make headlines. No one applauds them. No one gives you a trophy for sitting peacefully beneath a tree. No one congratulates you for taking a slow walk without looking at your phone. Yet these simple moments often nourish the heart far more deeply than another achievement ever could. The Buddha never taught people to stop growing. He taught them to stop believing that growth alone creates happiness. Growth without awareness becomes another race. Success without inner peace becomes another burden. Achievement without gratitude becomes another empty trophy placed on an already crowded shelf. Ask yourself something honestly. How much of your life has been spent preparing to live instead of actually living? How many beautiful mornings have passed while you were worrying about next month? How many meaningful conversations ended because your attention was somewhere else? How many sunsets did you miss because you were staring at a screen? How many times did your loved ones simply want your presence while your mind was chasing another future? Life rarely disappears all at once. It quietly slips away through moments we never truly experience. That is why Buddhist wisdom invites us to ask a different question. Instead of asking, "What else do I need before I can be happy?" ask yourself, "What have I stopped noticing that already makes life beautiful?" That single question has the power to change everything, because the heart does not become full by collecting more. It becomes full by becoming awake. Awake to the miracle of breathing. Awake to the people who still love you. Awake to the peaceful moments hiding inside ordinary days. Awake to the realization that your value has never depended on your accomplishments. You were never meant to spend your entire life running toward the next destination. You were meant to experience the journey with an open heart. One day, you may achieve every goal you have ever dreamed about, and I sincerely hope you do. But when that day comes, do not make the mistake of believing that your achievements will finally teach you how to live. Learn how to live now. Learn how to appreciate now. Learn how to be present now. Because if you cannot find peace in this moment, no future success will magically create it for you. The life your mind keeps chasing may continue forever, but the life your soul has been quietly longing for has been waiting patiently in this very moment all along. Your mind is so loud that your heart can no longer speak. There is something that many people never realize. The greatest source of exhaustion in your life may not be your work. It may not be your responsibilities. It may not even be the difficult people around you. The greatest source of your exhaustion may be the constant noise inside your own mind. Think about it for a moment. From the second you wake up, your mind begins talking. Before your feet touch the floor, It is already reminding you of everything you need to do, the emails you forgot to answer, the bills that need to be paid, the conversation that didn't go well yesterday, the mistake you made years ago, the future you are trying to control, the future you are afraid of losing. Without realizing it, you begin carrying hundreds of invisible conversations before the day has even started. By the time evening arrives, your body is tired, but your mind refuses to stop. You lie down in bed hoping to rest. Yet the moment your surroundings become quiet, your thoughts become louder. They replay old memories. They imagine future disasters. They create problems that have not happened. They ask questions that have no answers. They pull you from one thought to another, until hours pass without peace. This has become so common that many people believe it is simply normal. But Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us that just because something is common does not mean it is natural. The human mind was never meant to live in endless noise. It was meant to observe, to understand, to create, to appreciate. Instead, many of us have turned the mind into a machine that never stops producing thoughts. Imagine walking into a beautiful forest. The air is fresh. The trees are moving gently with the wind. Birds are singing somewhere above you. A small stream flows peacefully nearby. It is the kind of place where your heart could instantly relax. Now imagine someone standing beside you with a loud speaker. Every second, they shout another sentence, another opinion, another fear, another memory, another prediction, another criticism, another worry. Would you be able to enjoy the beauty around you? Of course not. Not because the forest stopped being beautiful, but because the noise became louder than the experience itself. This is exactly what happens inside the human mind. Life never stops offering beautiful moments, but the voice inside your head becomes so loud that you stop hearing life. You stop hearing your own heart. You stop hearing the quiet wisdom that has always lived within you. Many people spend years searching for answers outside themselves. They ask everyone what they should do. They chase endless advice. They consume book after book, video after video, podcast after podcast. There is nothing wrong with learning. Learning helps us grow. But there comes a point where more information is no longer the answer. Sometimes the answer is silence, because wisdom does not always arrive when you collect more voices. Sometimes wisdom appears when the unnecessary voices finally become quiet. The Buddha understood this deeply. He knew that the heart speaks softly. It never argues. It never screams. It never forces itself to be heard. It whispers. That is why most people never hear it. Their minds are simply too loud. Your heart may have been trying to guide you for years. It may have been telling you to slow down, to forgive yourself, to let go of what is already over, to stop chasing people who keep walking away, to spend more time with the people who truly love you, to rest, to breathe, to trust life a little more. But every time that quiet wisdom begins to rise, the noise of the mind interrupts it. What if this goes wrong? What if people judge me? What if I fail? What if I make the wrong decision? What if I lose everything? Fear becomes louder than truth. Anxiety becomes louder than peace. Overthinking becomes louder than awareness. And eventually, you begin believing every thought your mind creates. This is where suffering quietly grows. One of the most beautiful teachings in Buddhist wisdom is that you are not your thoughts. Pause for a moment and really let those words settle into your heart. You are not every thought that passes through your mind. If you sit beside a busy road, Thousands of cars will drive past you. Some move slowly. Some move quickly. Some are beautiful. Some are old. But you do not chase every car. You simply watch them pass. Thoughts are no different. Every single day, thousands of thoughts move through your mind. Some are kind. Some are fearful. Some are wise. Some are completely meaningless. Yet many people believe they must follow every single one. A single negative thought appears, and suddenly it becomes a story. The story becomes a belief. The belief becomes an emotion. The emotion shapes the entire day. All because one passing thought was treated like absolute truth. The mind has an incredible ability to create realities that do not exist. Have you ever worried about something for days, only to discover it never happened? Have you ever imagined someone was angry with you, only to realize they were simply having a difficult day? Have you ever spent an entire night fearing the future, only to wake up and find everything was exactly the same? The mind is a brilliant storyteller, but not every story it tells deserves your attention. The problem is not that the mind creates thoughts. That is its nature. The problem begins when you stop observing your thoughts and start obeying them. The Buddha often compared the undisciplined mind to a monkey swinging from one branch to another. It never stays still. It jumps from memory to memory, from fear to fear, from desire to desire, from regret to regret, never resting, never satisfied. Now imagine trying to find peace while riding on the back of that monkey. It would be impossible. This is why meditation has always been such an important part of Buddhist practice. Many people misunderstand meditation. They think meditation means forcing the mind to become empty, but that is not its purpose. Meditation is learning to become the observer instead of the prisoner. It teaches you to notice your thoughts without becoming trapped inside them. Imagine sitting beside a river. Leaves are floating on the water. Instead of grabbing every leaf, you simply watch each one drift away. Some leaves move quickly, some move slowly, but eventually, every single one disappears around the bend. Thoughts work in exactly the same way. If you stop holding on to them, they naturally pass. The more you practice this, the quieter your inner world becomes, and something beautiful begins to happen. You start hearing things you had forgotten. You hear your breathing. You hear the birds outside your window. You hear laughter more deeply. You notice kindness that once escaped your attention. You notice beauty in ordinary places. Most importantly, you begin hearing your own heart again. Your heart does not speak in fear. It speaks in peace. It does not rush you. It does not compare your life to anyone else's. It does not tell you that you are falling behind. It simply reminds you that this moment is enough. Modern life has trained us to believe that constant thinking is a sign of intelligence, but endless thinking is not wisdom. Sometimes, it is simply endless noise. Wisdom begins when the mind learns when to stop. There is a beautiful difference between thinking and awareness. Thinking is always trying to control life. Awareness is learning to experience it. Thinking asks, "What happens next?" Awareness asks, "What is happening now?" Thinking is restless. Awareness is peaceful. Thinking is always searching. Awareness quietly discovers. This is why people often experience their deepest moments of clarity when they finally stop trying so hard to find answers. While walking through nature, sitting beside the ocean, watching rain fall against a window, or simply breathing in complete silence, the answer was never created in those moments. It simply became visible because the noise finally faded. Perhaps this is what your heart has been asking for all along. Not another solution. Not another achievement. Not another distraction. Just a little more silence. A little more presence. A little more space to breathe. So if your life feels empty even when everything seems fine, do not immediately search for something new to fill that emptiness. Before adding more to your life, try becoming quieter within it. Sit with yourself for a few minutes each day. Walk without your phone. Watch the sunrise without taking a picture. Drink your tea without distracting your mind. Listen when someone speaks instead of preparing your reply. Allow silence to become your teacher instead of your enemy. Because the moment your mind becomes quieter, your heart begins speaking again, and you may discover that the peace you have been searching for was never lost. It was simply waiting for enough silence to finally be heard. You keep searching outside for what has always lived within. From the day we are born, the world quietly teaches us one powerful idea. It tells us that everything we need is somewhere outside of us, outside our hearts, outside our minds, outside this present moment. As children, we are told that happiness will come when we grow older. Then we are told it will come when we finish school. After that, we are told it will come when we find the perfect career. Then when we earn enough money. Then when we meet the right person. Then when we buy the right house. Then when we finally have enough time. Life becomes one long promise. A promise that says, your happiness is waiting somewhere ahead. And because we hear this message over and over again, we begin to believe it without ever questioning it. So we spend years searching for the next opportunity, the next relationship, the next achievement, the next adventure, the next version of ourselves, always believing that the next thing will finally quiet the emptiness inside. Sometimes we find what we were searching for. For a little while, our hearts feel lighter, our minds become excited, everything feels fresh. Everything feels new, but slowly, the excitement fades. The new job becomes another routine. The new phone becomes just another object. The new house becomes another place to clean. The relationship enters ordinary life. The achievement becomes another memory. Then, almost without noticing, the search begins again. The mind whispers, there must be something else. If I'm still feeling empty, then I simply haven't found the right thing yet. This cycle continues for years, sometimes for an entire lifetime. Buddhist wisdom gently asks a question that changes everything. What if the problem is not that you haven't found enough? What if the problem is that you have been searching in the wrong direction? Imagine a man walking through a desert, carrying a bottle of fresh water in his backpack. He becomes thirsty, so he spends hours searching for a river. He climbs hills. He crosses valleys. He grows weaker with every step. All the while, the water he needs has been resting on his back. He suffers, not because water is unavailable, but because he never thinks to look where it already is. This is how many of us live. We search everywhere except the one place that matters most, within ourselves. The Buddha never taught that the world has nothing to offer. He appreciated nature, friendship, compassion, community, beauty. He simply taught that lasting peace cannot be borrowed from changing circumstances, because everything outside of you changes. People change, jobs change, seasons change, health changes. Money comes and goes, youth slowly fades. Even the people we love most cannot stay with us forever. If your peace depends entirely upon things that constantly change, then your peace will constantly change as well. That is why so many people feel emotionally unstable. When life goes well, they feel valuable. When life becomes difficult, they feel worthless. Their inner world rises and falls with every outside event. Like a small boat being thrown around by every wave. But Buddhist wisdom invites us to become something different. Not the boat, the ocean. Think about the ocean for a moment. Its surface is always moving. Waves rise, waves fall. Storms come, storms leave. But if you dive deep enough, there is remarkable stillness. The deeper you go, the quieter everything becomes. Your mind is very much the same. On the surface, thoughts are constantly moving. Emotions rise and fall. Life changes every day. But beneath all of that, there is another place. A place that has always been peaceful. A place that has always been whole. A place that has never needed the world's permission to exist. Most people never reach this place because they spend their entire lives swimming across the surface. They mistake movement for progress, noise for meaning, activity for fulfillment. The Buddha gently reminds us that there is another direction, not forward, not backward, inward. This is the journey that most people postpone. It is easier to change your clothes than your habits. It is easier to buy something new than to sit quietly with your own thoughts. It is easier to blame life than to understand your own mind. That is why so many people stay busy, because busyness protects us from meeting ourselves. The moment life becomes quiet, something uncomfortable begins to appear. Old regrets, hidden fears, loneliness, questions we have been avoiding, pain we buried years ago. Instead of sitting with those feelings, we immediately reach for another distraction, another video, another conversation, another purchase, another goal, another reason to stay occupied. The world has become incredibly good at helping us escape ourselves. But every escape comes with a cost. Every time you run from your inner world, you move farther away from the peace that lives there. There is a reason why some of the happiest people you will ever meet own very little. It is not because poverty creates wisdom. It is because they discovered something that many wealthy people never find. They stopped expecting possessions to fill a spiritual hunger. There is nothing wrong with comfort. There is nothing wrong with success. There is nothing wrong with enjoying beautiful things. The problem begins when we quietly hand those things a responsibility they can never carry. We expect money to create inner peace. We expect another person to heal our loneliness. We expect praise to remove our insecurity. We expect success to silence our self-doubt. But these are burdens the outside world was never designed to carry. Only awareness can heal what unconscious living created. Only presence can calm what endless chasing disturbed. Only self-understanding can answer the questions that achievement never could. Have you ever noticed how peaceful you feel while watching a sunrise, or sitting beside the ocean, or walking slowly through a quiet forest? Many people believe those places create peace. But look more carefully. What really changes in those moments? The world outside, or the noise inside? Nature does something extraordinary. It slows you down. It gently pulls your attention away from endless thinking. For a few precious moments, you stop chasing. You stop comparing. You stop trying to become someone else. You simply exist. And in that simple existence, you suddenly remember what peace feels like. The peace did not come from the mountain. It came from the stillness the mountain awakened inside you. This is why the Buddha spent so much time in nature. Not because peace only exists in forests, but because nature reminds us of something we have forgotten. Everything in nature simply is. The tree does not rush to become taller overnight. The flower does not compare itself with another flower. The river does not question whether it is flowing fast enough. The moon never apologizes for disappearing before returning again. Everything moves according to its own nature. Only human beings constantly fight against themselves. We compare our chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 20. We rush through beautiful seasons because we are already worried about the next one. We forget that life unfolds. It is not forced. Another reason people search outside themselves is because they fear what they might discover within. Deep inside, many people quietly believe they are not enough, not successful enough, not attractive enough, not intelligent enough, not worthy enough. Because of this hidden belief, they keep trying to collect proof that they deserve happiness. More achievements, more compliments, more followers, more recognition, more approval. But approval from others is like pouring water into a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it never stays. Because the hole was never outside, it was inside. Until you believe that your worth is already present, no amount of praise will ever convince you. The Buddha taught that your true nature is not something you create. It is something you uncover. Imagine a beautiful mirror hidden beneath years of dust. The mirror has never stopped reflecting. It has only been covered. Your peace is the same. Your compassion is the same. Your wisdom is the same. Your joy is the same. They have never disappeared. They have simply been hidden beneath years of fear, comparison, endless striving, and unconscious living. You do not need to become someone completely different. You simply need to remove what has been covering the person you have always been. That is the real journey, not becoming. Remembering, not adding, releasing, not chasing, returning. This is why Buddhist wisdom says that awakening is not about gaining something new. It is about seeing clearly what has been here all along. So if your heart still feels empty, pause before asking, "What else should I chase?" Instead, ask a different question. What part of myself have I been ignoring while searching everywhere else? That single question can open a door that years of achievement never could. Because everything you have been seeking, peace, contentment, enoughness, freedom, they are not prizes waiting at the end of the road. They are seeds already planted within you. They have always been there, quietly waiting. Not for another success, not for another possession, not for another perfect moment, but simply for your attention to return home. You have become a stranger to your true self. There is a kind of loneliness that has nothing to do with being alone. You can be surrounded by family. You can spend your days with friends. You can work with people every single day. You can receive messages, phone calls, and endless notifications, and still feel completely alone. Why? Because the deepest loneliness is not the absence of other people, it is the absence of yourself. Many people spend years trying to build stronger relationships with everyone around them. They become better partners, better parents, better friends, better employees, better listeners. But somewhere along the way, they stop building a relationship with the one person they will spend their entire life with, themselves. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the greatest journey you will ever take is not across the world. It is the journey back to your own heart. Sadly, This is the one journey most people keep postponing. From a very young age, we begin learning how to become acceptable. We quickly discover that certain parts of us are praised, while other parts are rejected. When we are quiet, people call us shy. When we speak honestly, people tell us we are too much. When we dream differently, people tell us to be realistic. When we cry, some people tell us to be strong. Little by little, without even realizing it, we begin changing ourselves, not because we truly want to, but because we want to belong. At first, the changes seem small. You stop saying what you really think. You smile even when your heart feels heavy. You agree with people just to avoid conflict. You pretend to enjoy things that no longer bring you joy. You laugh at jokes that do not make you laugh. You keep saying, "I'm fine," even when something inside you has been quietly breaking for a long time. You tell yourself, "This is just part of growing up. This is what everyone does. I have to be this way if I want people to accept me." Years pass. The mask becomes so familiar that you forget it is a mask. You become incredibly good at playing the role everyone expects from you. You know exactly what to say, exactly how to act, exactly what people want to hear. Everyone around you believes they know you, but deep inside, you quietly wonder if anyone has ever truly met the real you. Even more painful, you begin wondering if you still know who that person is. This is one of the deepest reasons people feel empty. Not because they have lost themselves in one dramatic moment, but because they slowly abandon themselves in thousands of tiny moments. Every time they ignored their own heart, every time they betrayed their own values, every time they silenced their own truth, every time they chose approval over authenticity, they walked a little farther away from themselves. Imagine leaving your home every morning, walking one step away from it, only one step. It seems insignificant. The next day, another step, then another, then another. Years later, you suddenly realize your home is no longer visible. You cannot even remember how you got so far away. This is exactly how self-disconnection happens. It is almost never sudden. It happens quietly. One compromise at a time. One ignored feeling at a time. One hidden tear at a time. One unspoken truth at a time. Until one day, you wake up and whisper, "I don't even know who I am anymore." Modern life makes this even more difficult. Everywhere you look, someone is telling you who you should become. Social media tells you what success should look like. Advertisements tell you what beauty should look like. Society tells you what happiness should look like. Friends tell you what your future should look like. Family tells you what your life should look like. Soon, your own inner voice becomes almost impossible to hear. There are so many opinions surrounding you that your own wisdom gets buried beneath them. The Buddha understood something remarkable. He knew that suffering often begins the moment we stop living according to our own nature. Look at nature. The rose never wishes it were a sunflower. The mountain never wishes it were the ocean. The stars never compete with the moon. Everything becomes beautiful because it fully accepts what it already is. Only human beings spend their lives wishing they were someone else. Think about how much energy this consumes. Trying to impress people, trying to avoid criticism, trying to fit into places where you never truly belonged, trying to become a version of yourself that feels easier for everyone else to accept. It is exhausting. Not because pretending is difficult for one day, but because pretending every single day slowly drains the soul. That is why some people return home after spending time with others and feel completely exhausted. It is not because they dislike people. It is because they spent the entire day performing instead of simply being. There is an enormous difference between connection and performance. Performance asks, how can I make them like me? Connection asks, how can I honestly meet this moment? Performance constantly watches itself. It worries about every word, every movement, every impression. Connection forgets itself. It simply exists. One creates anxiety. The other creates peace. Have you ever spent time with someone who made you feel completely comfortable? Someone around whom you never had to pretend. You never had to choose your words carefully. You never had to hide your emotions. You could simply be yourself. Think about how peaceful that felt. Why? Because for a little while, you stopped carrying the weight of pretending. Now imagine giving yourself that same freedom every day. Imagine no longer asking, what version of me will they accept? Instead asking, what feels honest to my heart? This does not mean becoming careless. It does not mean hurting people. It does not mean ignoring kindness or compassion. Buddhist wisdom never encourages selfishness. It encourages authenticity. There is a profound difference. Authenticity says, I will meet you with honesty and kindness. Selfishness says, I only care about myself. The awakened heart chooses neither pretending nor selfishness. It chooses truth, guided by compassion. Another reason we become strangers to ourselves is because we spend so much time listening to everyone else's expectations that we forget to ask ourselves one simple question. What truly brings my heart alive? Not what impresses people, not what gains attention, not what earns applause. What genuinely makes your soul feel peaceful? For some people, it is reading quietly. For others, it is walking through nature, creating art, helping strangers, gardening, writing, teaching, watching the sunrise, playing music, praying, meditating, sitting in silence. These simple moments rarely make you famous, but they quietly bring you back to yourself. The world often celebrates loud success. The soul quietly celebrates inner peace. The Buddha taught that knowing yourself is one of the greatest forms of wisdom, because once you truly know yourself, you stop chasing lives that were never meant for you. You stop comparing your journey with someone else's. You stop begging for acceptance from people who cannot see your value. You stop forcing yourself into places where your spirit feels heavy. Instead, you begin choosing what nourishes your heart instead of what feeds your ego. Slowly, the emptiness begins changing, not because every problem disappears, but because something much more important happens. You begin feeling at home inside yourself again, and there is no greater freedom than that. Imagine returning to a childhood home after being away for many years. Everything feels familiar. The air, the smell, the quiet corners. A deep part of you whispers, I belong here. Coming back to yourself feels exactly the same. You stop running. You stop proving. You stop pretending. You stop apologizing for simply existing. For the first time in a very long time, you breathe deeply, not because life suddenly became perfect, but because you are no longer at war with your own heart. The greatest relationship you will ever have is not with another person, it is with yourself. Every other relationship in your life will change. Some people will stay, some will leave, some will misunderstand you, some will love you deeply, but you will wake up with yourself every morning. You will carry your own thoughts every day. You will sit with your own heart every night. If you neglect that relationship, no amount of love from the outside will ever feel enough. But when you slowly return to yourself, when you begin listening to your own heart again, when you treat yourself with the same kindness you offer everyone else, something beautiful begins to happen. The emptiness no longer feels like a dark hole inside you. It becomes an open space, a peaceful space, a place where your true self can finally breathe again. And perhaps the person you have been searching for all these years was never somewhere out in the world. Perhaps they have been quietly waiting for you, within you, this entire time. Your emptiness is filled with things you should have let go of. Sometimes the reason your heart feels so heavy is not because something important is missing. Sometimes it is because you are carrying far more than your heart was ever meant to carry. Many people spend years asking, "Why do I feel empty?" But they never stop to ask a different question. What am I still holding that no longer belongs in my life? This question is uncomfortable because it forces us to look honestly at the invisible weight we have been carrying for years, not on our shoulders, but inside our hearts. The strange thing about emotional weight is that you cannot see it. You cannot touch it. No one walking past you on the street knows you are carrying it. You smile. You go to work. You laugh at the right moments. You continue living as though everything is fine. Yet inside, you are dragging memories that should have been laid to rest a long time ago. You are carrying old disappointments, old heartbreaks, old betrayals, old guilt, old regrets, old dreams that never came true, old versions of yourself that no longer exist. And without realizing it, you are asking your heart to carry yesterday while trying to live today. No wonder it feels exhausted. Imagine trying to climb a mountain while carrying a backpack filled with large stones. At first, the weight feels manageable. You tell yourself, "I can handle this." So you keep walking. As time passes, your shoulders begin to ache. Your breathing becomes heavier. Every step requires more effort. Eventually, you become so accustomed to the weight that you stop questioning it. You simply assume climbing mountains is supposed to feel this difficult. Then one day, someone gently asks you, "Why don't you put the backpack down?" Only then do you realize you never needed to carry it this far. This is how many people live. They carry emotional stones for so long that suffering begins to feel normal. The memory of someone who walked away, the words spoken during one painful argument, a mistake made 10 years ago, a failure they still cannot forgive, a dream that never became reality. These things continue living inside the mind long after life itself has moved forward. The Buddha understood something that is difficult for many of us to accept. Holding on does not protect us from pain. It often keeps the pain alive. Many people believe that if they keep replaying the past, they will somehow change it. They think, if I understand it one more time, if I replay the conversation again, if I imagine a different ending, if I blame myself a little more, then perhaps the pain will finally disappear. But it never does, because the past is like an echo. The more you chase it, the longer it continues. The moment you stop chasing, the echo slowly fades into silence. Think about how often your mind returns to moments that no longer exist. Perhaps there was someone you loved deeply, someone you imagined spending your life with. You built dreams together. You imagined a future together. Then life changed. They left. Or perhaps you had to let them go. Years later, your body is living in today. But your heart still visits yesterday. You replay conversations. You remember places. You imagine what could have been. You compare every new experience with an old memory, without realizing it. The past quietly steals space that belongs to the present. This does not happen only with relationships. It happens with identities as well. Some people spend years holding on to a version of themselves that no longer exists. The successful version, the younger version, the healthier version, the person who had fewer responsibilities. Instead of accepting who they are becoming, they continue mourning who they used to be. Life is always changing. The seasons never apologize for changing. Autumn never tries to become spring again. Winter never resists the arrival of summer. Nature understands something that human beings often forget. Everything is meant to change, everything. When we fight against this truth, we suffer. When we learn to move with it, we begin to find peace. One of the greatest forms of suffering comes from attachment. Many people misunderstand this teaching. They think Buddhism asks us not to love, but that is not true. The Buddha never warned against love. He warned against clinging. Love allows people to be free. Attachment tries to possess them. Love says, "I am grateful you are part of my life." Attachment says, "I cannot survive without you." Love accepts change. Attachment fights it. Love creates peace. Attachment creates fear. This is why losing someone can leave such a deep emptiness, not only because we miss the person, but because we built part of our identity around never living without them. When life changes, we feel as though we have lost ourselves too. Yet Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us that nothing outside of you was ever meant to become your entire identity. Relationships are precious. Family is precious. Friendship is precious. But your inner peace must have roots deeper than changing circumstances. Otherwise, every loss becomes the loss of yourself. There is another invisible burden that many people carry, the burden of guilt. Some people punish themselves every single day for mistakes they made years ago. Perhaps they hurt someone. Perhaps they chose the wrong path. Perhaps fear kept them from taking an opportunity. Perhaps they simply wish they had known then what they know now. So they replay the memory endlessly. They become both the prisoner and the judge. They hand down the same sentence every day, never allowing themselves to be free. But ask yourself honestly, if you met a child learning to walk, would you become angry every time they fell? Would you tell them, "You should have known better"? Of course not. You would smile. You would help them stand again, because falling is part of learning. Then why do you deny yourself the same compassion? The person you were years ago did not know everything you know today. You made choices with the awareness you had at that time. Now you have grown. Now you understand more. Growth should become your teacher, not your prison. The Buddha often reminded his students that every moment offers the opportunity to begin again. Not because yesterday never happened, but because yesterday no longer has the power to change today unless you continue carrying it. There is a beautiful image that many Buddhist teachers use. Imagine holding a burning piece of charcoal in your hand because you want to throw it at someone who hurt you. Who gets burned first? You do. Resentment works exactly the same way. Many people believe resentment punishes the other person. Most of the time, it quietly punishes the one holding on to it. Every day they wake up carrying anger. Every day they replay the same pain. Every day they reopen wounds that life has already been trying to heal. Forgiveness does not always mean saying that what happened was acceptable. Sometimes forgiveness simply means refusing to let the past continue controlling your present. It is choosing freedom over endless repetition. Another thing we struggle to release is expectations. We expect life to unfold exactly as we planned. We expect people to become who we imagined they would become. We expect happiness to arrive according to our schedule. Then reality chooses a different path. Instead of adapting, we resist, we fight, we complain, we ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Meanwhile, life continues flowing forward, like a river. The river never argues with the rocks in its path. It simply finds another way. That is wisdom, not controlling life, flowing with it. Perhaps this is why your heart feels tired. Not because life has asked too much from you, but because you have been holding on to things that life has already asked you to release. The memories, the guilt, the anger, the regrets, the expectations, the old identity, the fear, the version of your future that never arrived. None of these things belong in your hands forever. Your hands were created to receive life, not to endlessly grip what has already passed. Imagine walking through a forest in autumn. One by one, the leaves begin falling from the trees. Have you ever noticed that the tree never chases them? It never begs them to stay. It never believes its life is ending. It lets them fall, not because the tree has stopped loving them, but because it trusts another spring will come. Perhaps your life is asking you to trust in the same way. Not every ending is a punishment. Some endings quietly make room for beginnings that could never arrive otherwise. The emptiness you feel today may not be asking you to search for something new. It may simply be asking you to gently open your hands, to stop carrying what has already finished, to stop living inside memories that no longer need your attention, to stop punishing yourself for becoming human. Because the truth is, a heart that is always holding on to the past has no space left to receive the present. And maybe the peace you have been searching for is not waiting for you to gain one more thing. Maybe it is waiting for you to finally let one more thing go. Sometimes the greatest transformation in life does not begin when you discover something new. Sometimes it begins the quiet moment you whisper to yourself, "I have carried this long enough." And with that single decision, your heart becomes lighter, your breath becomes deeper, your steps become softer. Not because life suddenly became easier, but because, for the first time in a very long time, you are no longer dragging yesterday into today. And that is where true freedom quietly begins. You stopped seeing the miracles hidden inside ordinary days. There is a quiet tragedy that happens to almost every human being. It does not happen in one dramatic moment. It happens so slowly, so gently, that most people never even notice it. One day, they stop seeing the beauty that has been surrounding them all along, not because the beauty disappeared, but because familiarity slowly made it invisible. This is one of the greatest reasons the heart begins to feel empty. When you stop noticing life's ordinary miracles, life begins to feel ordinary. Think back to a dream you once had. Perhaps you dreamed of having your own home. Perhaps you dreamed of earning enough money to stop worrying every day. Perhaps you dreamed of finding people who truly cared about you. Perhaps you simply dreamed of making it through a difficult season of your life. At that time, those dreams felt almost impossible. You told yourself, "If only I could have that. If only I could reach that place, everything would be different." Now pause for a moment. Look carefully at your life today. How many of those old dreams have quietly become your everyday reality? Maybe you no longer struggle the way you once did. Maybe you have food on your table every day. Maybe your body has healed from pain you thought would never end. Maybe there are people who still check on you, Maybe you can sleep in safety tonight. Maybe you have another sunrise waiting for you tomorrow morning. Years ago, these things were prayers. Today, they have become routine. And because they have become routine, your mind no longer notices them. This is one of the strangest habits of the human mind. It quickly becomes accustomed to blessings. What once felt extraordinary slowly begins to feel ordinary. The first time you watched the ocean, you could hardly believe its beauty. The sound of the waves, the endless horizon, the fresh air. Everything felt magical. But imagine living beside that same ocean every day for 20 years. Many people would eventually stop looking at it. Not because the ocean became less beautiful, but because the mind became less aware. The same thing happens with nearly every blessing in life. The home you once prayed for becomes just another building. The people you once missed become familiar faces. Your healthy body becomes something you barely notice. Your ability to walk, to breathe, to hear birds singing, to watch the rain, to see the colors of the evening sky, all of these incredible gifts quietly fade into the background. Not because they lost their value, but because the mind stopped paying attention. Buddhist wisdom teaches that awareness is not only about seeing reality, it is about seeing it freshly, again and again. Every sunrise is different. Every season changes. Every conversation is unique. Every breath is completely new. Yet the mind keeps saying, "I've already seen this." And the moment the mind believes it already knows everything, wonder quietly disappears. Children rarely suffer from this problem. Have you ever watched a child discover something simple? A butterfly, a tiny flower growing through a crack in the ground, a rainbow after the rain, a bird building its nest. Their eyes become wide with amazement. They become completely absorbed in the moment. To an adult, it may seem ordinary. To the child, it is extraordinary. What changed? Not the world, only the way of seeing it. The Buddha often reminded his students that awakening is not about entering a new world. It is about learning to see the old one with new eyes. That is why truly peaceful people often find joy in things others completely overlook. They smile while watching leaves dance in the wind. They enjoy sitting quietly beneath a tree. They notice the warmth of sunlight touching their hands. They appreciate the silence that follows rainfall. They pause to watch clouds slowly moving across the sky. To someone constantly rushing, these moments seem meaningless, but to an awakened heart, these moments are life itself. Modern life quietly steals this ability from us. We are always looking ahead, always waiting for something bigger, always believing happiness must arrive through extraordinary experiences. The next vacation, the next achievement, the next celebration, the next weekend, the next chapter. Meanwhile, life continues, offering thousands of quiet miracles every single day. A gentle breeze entering through your window, the smell of fresh rain, a warm cup of tea on a peaceful morning, someone smiling at you without expecting anything in return, a kind word from a stranger, the laughter of children playing somewhere nearby, the comforting silence before sunrise, the moon quietly lighting the night. None of these moments ask for attention. They simply arrive. Patiently, again and again. But because the mind has become addicted to excitement, it often overlooks the quiet beauty that surrounds it. This addiction to excitement creates a dangerous illusion. It convinces us that ordinary moments are somehow empty. So we keep searching for extraordinary experiences. The strange thing is, even extraordinary experiences eventually become ordinary. The excitement fades. The novelty disappears. Then the search begins again. This is why people who constantly chase excitement often feel exhausted. Their happiness depends upon moments that cannot last. Buddhist wisdom offers another path. Instead of making life extraordinary, learn to experience ordinary life extraordinarily. There is profound freedom in this. Imagine drinking a cup of tea. Most people finish it without even remembering the taste. Their eyes remain fixed on a screen. Their thoughts remain somewhere else. Their body drinks the tea, but their awareness never arrives. Now imagine drinking that same cup slowly, feeling its warmth, noticing its aroma, watching the steam gently rise into the air, taking one mindful sip at a time. The tea has not changed. You have. The ordinary becomes extraordinary the moment awareness enters it. This is why meditation is not only something practiced while sitting quietly. Meditation is a way of living. It is bringing your full attention into whatever this moment offers. Walking becomes meditation. Listening becomes meditation. Cooking becomes meditation. Cleaning becomes meditation. Breathing becomes meditation. Life itself becomes the practice. The Buddha once said that a person who is fully awake sees miracles everywhere. Not because the world suddenly became magical, but because awareness removed the blindness that had been covering it. Another reason we stop seeing life's miracles is because comparison quietly steals our gratitude. Imagine receiving a beautiful flower. At first, your heart fills with appreciation. Then someone walks by carrying a larger bouquet. Suddenly, your beautiful flower no longer feels enough. Nothing about your flower changed. Only your comparison did. This happens every single day. You compare your home with someone else's, your career with someone else's, your appearance with someone else's, your relationship with someone else's. Slowly, comparison convinces you that your blessings are too small. But gratitude gently whispers, look again. Because every life contains beauty. Not identical beauty, unique beauty. Your journey has gifts that belong only to you. The moment you stop comparing, those gifts become visible again. Have you ever noticed that the happiest memories in your life are often surprisingly simple? Sitting with someone you love, laughing until your stomach hurt, watching the stars, walking without any destination, sharing a quiet meal, holding someone's hand, listening to your favorite music on a rainy evening. Very few people look back and say, the happiest moment of my life was answering emails, or my greatest memory was buying another expensive object. Most of our deepest memories are built from moments that money could never purchase. Presence, connection, stillness, love, kindness, awareness. These are the treasures that quietly give life its richness, yet they are also the treasures most easily overlooked. Imagine reaching the end of your life, looking back over every year. Do you think you will remember every deadline, every stressful meeting, every social media notification? Probably not. But you will remember the mornings filled with laughter, the peaceful walks, the unexpected conversations, the sunsets you paused to watch, the people who made you feel seen, the quiet moments when your heart felt completely alive. Those ordinary moments are not interruptions to life. They are life. Everything else is simply passing through. So if your heart has been feeling empty lately, perhaps the answer is not another achievement. Perhaps the answer is learning to see again. See the people who quietly love you. See the breath moving gently through your body. See the trees that have stood outside your window for years. See the sky that changes every evening without asking for applause. See the miracle of another ordinary day. Because there will come a time when what feels ordinary today will become the memory you wish you could experience one more time. Do not wait until something is gone before realizing its value. Do not wait until someone leaves before appreciating their presence. Do not wait until life changes before noticing how beautiful this moment already is. The Buddha taught that enlightenment is not finding another world. It is finally opening your eyes to the one you have been living in all along. And perhaps the emptiness inside your heart has never been asking for a bigger life. Perhaps it has simply been asking you to notice the beautiful life that has been quietly unfolding around you every single day. The miracles were never missing, only your attention was. The moment your attention returns, your heart begins to fill again, not with excitement that quickly fades, but with a quiet gratitude that grows deeper every single day. And that kind of gratitude is one of the purest forms of lasting peace. The emptiness you fear is the beginning of your awakening. What if the feeling you have been trying so hard to escape is actually trying to save you? Pause for a moment and truly consider that possibility. For so long, you may have looked at your emptiness as an enemy, a flaw, a weakness, something that needed to disappear as quickly as possible. Every time it appeared, you rushed to silence it. You stayed busy. You worked longer hours. You reached for your phone. You watched another video. You planned another goal. You searched for another distraction. Anything, as long as you did not have to sit alone with that quiet feeling inside. Because emptiness can feel frightening. It asks questions we are not always ready to answer. It whispers, "Is this really the life you want? When was the last time you truly felt alive? Why have you been running for so long? What are you still trying to prove?" These questions are uncomfortable, not because they are cruel, but because they are honest. And honesty has a way of shaking us awake. Many people spend their entire lives avoiding these questions. They stay busy until they grow old. They keep chasing one achievement after another, one distraction after another, one identity after another. They never stop long enough to hear what their own heart has been trying to tell them. Then one day, life becomes quiet. Perhaps a relationship ends. Perhaps the children grow up and leave home. Perhaps retirement arrives. Perhaps success no longer feels exciting. Perhaps someone they loved is no longer beside them. Suddenly, the noise disappears, and there it is again. That familiar emptiness, the feeling they spent decades trying to outrun. Buddhist wisdom teaches that suffering is often a messenger. It arrives carrying a lesson, but if we spend all our energy trying to silence the messenger, we never receive the message. Imagine that one evening someone begins knocking on your front door. You hear the sound. Again and again. Instead of opening the door, you turn the television louder. The knocking continues. You put on headphones. The knocking becomes louder. You leave the house for a while. When you return, the knocking is still there. Eventually, you become exhausted. Not because of the knocking itself, but because of all the energy required to avoid it. Now imagine opening the door. Perhaps there is someone standing there with exactly the message you have needed all along. Your emptiness is very much like that knock. It keeps returning because it has something important to say. It is not asking for more distractions. It is asking for your attention. Many people believe awakening is a dramatic experience, a flash of light, a mystical vision, a moment that changes everything overnight. Sometimes that happens, but more often, awakening begins much more quietly. It begins the day you become honest with yourself, the day you stop pretending everything is fine, the day you admit, "I have been searching everywhere except within." That single moment of honesty is incredibly powerful, because transformation can never begin where denial continues. The Buddha himself was surrounded by comfort when he was young. He lived in luxury. He had everything people usually believe creates happiness. Yet something inside him remained unsettled. Many people would have ignored that feeling. Many would have distracted themselves. Many would have convinced themselves to simply be grateful and stop questioning life. But the Buddha did something different. He listened. He respected the quiet voice inside. He allowed the emptiness to become a doorway instead of a prison. That decision changed not only his own life, but the lives of millions of people who came after him. Perhaps your own emptiness is asking you to begin a similar journey, not to leave your home, not to abandon your responsibilities, but to stop abandoning yourself. There is a profound difference. The emptiness you feel may be revealing that you have spent years living according to everyone else's expectations. Perhaps you have built a successful life, but forgotten to build a peaceful one. Perhaps you have learned how to impress people, but forgotten how to understand yourself. Perhaps you have mastered productivity, but forgotten how to simply exist without needing to accomplish something. None of these realizations are punishments. They are invitations, invitations to begin again. Nature teaches us this lesson every single year. Look at a forest during winter. The trees appear empty. Their branches are bare. The leaves have fallen. To someone passing by, it might seem as though life has disappeared. But beneath the surface, something remarkable is happening. The roots are growing deeper. The tree is resting. It is gathering strength for a spring that no one can yet see. If you judged the tree only by its appearance, you would believe it was dying. In reality, it is preparing for new life. Perhaps your heart is living through its own winter. Perhaps the emptiness is not evidence that your life is ending. Perhaps it is evidence that something new is quietly preparing to begin. The problem is that we often panic during seasons of emptiness. We assume something has gone terribly wrong. We immediately search for ways to fill every empty space. But nature never rushes. The flower does not bloom in winter simply because it feels impatient. The river does not force itself to reach the ocean overnight. The moon never apologizes for becoming invisible before returning once again. Everything in nature trusts the timing of life. Only human beings constantly demand immediate answers, immediate happiness, immediate certainty, immediate meaning. The Buddha gently reminds us that growth is often invisible. The deepest transformations usually happen in silence. Think about a seed buried beneath the soil. For weeks, nothing appears to happen. If you looked only at the surface, you might believe the seed has failed. But underground, roots are quietly spreading. Life is slowly awakening. Strength is developing where no one can see it. Your inner life works in the same way. Just because you cannot yet see the transformation does not mean it is not happening. Every moment you choose awareness instead of distraction, something changes. Every moment you choose forgiveness instead of resentment, something changes. Every moment you choose gratitude instead of comparison, something changes. Every moment you choose presence instead of endless rushing, something changes. These changes are small, almost invisible, but over time, they reshape your entire life. Many people ask, when will I finally feel whole? Perhaps wholeness was never something you needed to create. Perhaps it was something you needed to uncover. Imagine the sky on a cloudy day. The clouds completely cover the sun. Someone who has never seen the sky before might believe the sun has disappeared. But has it? Of course not. It remains exactly where it has always been. Only the clouds have changed what is visible. Your true nature is the same. Peace has never left you. Compassion has never left you. Joy has never left you. The quiet wisdom within your heart has never left you. They have simply been hidden beneath years of fear, attachment, comparison, endless striving, and unconscious living. The emptiness you feel is not proof that these things are gone. It is proof that your soul is inviting you to clear away the clouds, little by little, day by day, breath by breath. Another beautiful truth in Buddhist wisdom is that no one else can walk this path for you. People can inspire you. Teachers can guide you. Books can open your eyes. But eventually, you must sit quietly with your own heart. You must become your own closest companion. You must learn to enjoy your own presence. Because if you cannot be at peace with yourself, no place, no achievement, no relationship, no amount of success will ever permanently remove the emptiness. Everything outside you is temporary. Everything within you has the potential to become your lasting home. So perhaps today is not the day to fear your emptiness. Perhaps today is the day to thank it. Thank it for refusing to let you continue living on autopilot. Thank it for reminding you that your soul desires something deeper than endless achievement. Thank it for calling you back to yourself. One day, you may look back on this season of your life with completely different eyes. You may realize that the emptiness you once hated became the greatest teacher you ever had. It slowed you down when you were moving too fast. It made you question what truly mattered. It helped you let go of what no longer belonged in your heart. It guided you toward a quieter, gentler, more authentic way of living. Without that emptiness, perhaps you would have kept running forever. Perhaps you would have continued chasing a life that looked successful from the outside, while quietly feeling lost on the inside. Instead, that silent feeling became your turning point. The moment you finally stopped asking, "What else does the world need to give me?" and started asking, "What is my own heart trying to teach me?" That is the moment awakening begins. Not with fireworks, not with perfection, not with a life free from problems, but with one quiet decision. The decision to come home to yourself, to stop searching in places where peace can never permanently live. To trust that everything you have been seeking has been growing within you all along. And perhaps, years from now, when someone asks you what changed your life, you will not speak about a promotion, or a possession, or a perfect relationship. You will remember a much quieter moment, the moment you stopped running from your emptiness, sat beside it with courage, listened to what it had been trying to tell you, and discovered that what felt like an ending was actually the beautiful beginning of finally waking up. That is the gift hidden inside every season of emptiness. It does not come to destroy you. It comes to return you to the person you were always meant to become. And once that journey begins, you will discover a kind of peace that no success can buy, no failure can take away, and no passing season can ever destroy.